Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Today I'm joined by Colm, Meaney, and Paul Reiser. I had them on the show today to talk about their film, The Problem with People. The film is about two distant cousins who've never met. One's in New York City, and the other in the smallest town there is in Ireland. They come together to finally put an end to a generations-long family feud, and it doesn't go well. The Problem with People is set in the beautifully lush Irish countryside. It's a heartwarming comedy about family, world peace, and sheep. I had a great time with this film and a great time chatting with Paul and Colm. The film will be on VOD on October 4th. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. I'm doing quite well. Thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so I just got to say right away that it's really rare that I find a movie that I feel so immediately connected to in a way that it's looking at me. And it's kind of a mirror where I am a deeply broken person and I'm not sentimental. And shit talking is my love language. And by the opening credits of this movie, I realized I was in familiar company with this movie. So I am a sentimental person in my heart, but sentimentality makes me uncomfortable. I'm not sure if that rings true for the both of you or not.
That's so funny. That's so nice. It's nice to have you aboard. I think we both, it's a matter of taste. It's like sentimentality can be cloying and unpleasant. And what's fun, I think, about watching this movie, we got to watch it with a crowd the other night. And it's like, they're not trying, you like both these guys. The minute you meet Ciáran, Colm's character, you go, this poor guy, he's taking care of his old man. His old man is browbeating him. He wants to get out of this. I feel bad for this guy. And now he's going to reach out to another guy that we don't know anything about him, but they have this lovely, noble intention of, let's just bury the hatchet. Wouldn't that be nice? And simple. And of course, it's not, because there are problems with people. That's because we're all flawed, and we're all as well intended as these two fellas are. It's like they can't stop tripping over their own biases and suspicions and worst instincts. And that's not hopefully, but that is everybody. We all, I think, want to be good people, but there's a couple of things in the way.
And namely ourselves, because this is really
exactly.
It's about
and all the baggage that we've been, taking with us. It's like, I know I have cousins my age that I got along with. And I would hear from my parents, like, his father was an asshole. It's like, okay, so you get handed all this stuff, and you feel obliged to carry it. And that's what these two guys is like. I never met the Irish family. I got nothing against them, but I'm told there's something bad. Okay. And he's going, don't talk to the Americans.
Well, Colm, could you talk about you kind of have to play this really difficult character where you do more of the unlikable things immediately, but the script does ingratiate you with taking care of your father and these things and everything that's going against you, but you're kind of the catalyst for this thing going sideways, and it's not an easy thing to pull off, to still be somebody that you're pulling for, because I'm pulling for both of y'all.
Yeah, it wasn't, I don't think it was difficult. It was, this is where, Paul and all his writing come into it. It was such a terrific script. Totally believable. There wasn't a false moment in it when I read it. I really, there's not many scripts you can say that about,
Yeah.
And so from the character perspective, it was. I sometimes compare, what we do to being musicians, where you get a great script. It's like a great musical score. Play the notes, just play the notes, and that's kind of what I did with this. And there was no great struggle to find the character, or it was kind of there on the page,
And Paul, could you talk a little bit about the writing on that? Because I agree with Colm. I think this is a really beautifully written, really oddly layered script that you could watch this, I think, at different points in your life and get totally different films out of this. You could revisit this. I could watch this with my 14-year-old, and I think he would get something out of this. I'd watch it with my wife. I could watch it. My dad passed last year, and I honestly, seeing something like this, though, it made me miss him, but in a warm way, not in in that just brutal way that you have right away.
What a nice thing to hear, and we've actually heard people leave here and they're laughing for an hour and a half. It's a fun, compact moving. It moves at a nice pace.
Yeah.
But often the takeaway is, you know what, I'm gonna call my sister because we haven't spoken for 3 years and I don't even remember what we're arguing about. So it hopefully brings people that feeling, which is thank you for sharing that. What was the question? The writing of it, the original was not a particularly my only original reason for writing it was I wanted to go to Ireland. I had been years ago. I worked backwards. Like, how can I get my ass to Ireland? And I had been years ago. My wife and I went with another couple, and we just drove around the country and loved it. And I just always been drawn. A local hero, which is referenced in the movie.
Yep.
So that was really the initial inception. It's like I always wanted to make a movie like that, where I get to let me go to a beautiful little town and be in a nice inn and have beers with the crew in this nice little town. But it took a while, so I just sat with it, and I wasn't, working at it solidly, but periodically I'd pick it up. And then I had the idea I should probably write it with somebody. Just sometimes that collaboration sparks something. And so the young guy that I wrote it with, Wally Marzano-Lesnovich is his name. And I didn't know him. Somebody introduced him and said, oh, you're looking for a writer. This guy's good. And I met him, and he sparked. And we just walked around and came up with, a reason. Why would this New Yorker go to Ireland? Well, what if it's family? Okay, why? And then the idea that on top of that these two were trying to end a feud that had nothing to do with them, that they've both been handed down. Well, that's a nice thing. And of course, it'll go badly because they're humans and they're flawed. So then we were off to the races. Then it wrote really easily because it had a purpose. It wasn't just fluff. It was like, oh, this is, if you don't look too carefully, it's actually about something big.
Yeah.
How do you resolve conflicts? How do countries get together? And the father says it to Colm in the opening scene. If we can't solve the world, who am I to talk? We can't even fix our family. I want you to fix our family. And that was great fun. And I knew, Colm, I mean, such a solid actor, and I've been such an admirer of his work. And there's never a false beat with Colm's acting. You believe him in everything. And I just had a feeling that our rhythms would jive. And we met and we hit it off right away. And, and I had to do even less digging to find my character because I wrote it. And I when I write for me, I go, what would be the easiest thing for me to say? But I love the chance also because of straddling that line. That movie, you have not one, you have two guys who are both striving to be better than they know themselves to be. It's like, I'm going to try and be good. It's like, yeah, I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy. It's like, well, there you go. In the hospital scene where he goes, you put yours down first. It's like, there's the problem right there.
Well, it's
to be the first.
Yeah, exactly. And it is something that, again, it does apply, as you were saying, to a much larger conflict and to much larger problems that we have. But the things that we can impact and change are the internal, things that we affect. That's it. And I think that's really just, this film never gets on a soapbox, though. And God damn it, I appreciate that, because if you started preaching at any moment in this movie, I would have just immediately rejected it. But you keep a message at an arm's length and I'll accept it. But if you just make it clear to me for whatever reason, I can't take that in. And
it's my favorite review of the whole film. Thank you. That's music to our ears.
Yeah.
And then I'm so surprised to find out that you guys just met each other for this project, because the chemistry between the two of you feels like there's decades behind it. It feels like the two of you, just the way that you play off each other is incredible here. I'm just really surprised that you haven't known each other for a long time.
No, we met literally the week before the week we started shooting. We had been in contact. The script. I read the script maybe 2 or 3 years before we started shooting. There were delays, COVID, different people's schedules, things like that. But so Paul and I had spoken on the phone, and we texted each other, and but we didn't meet till the few days before shooting, and we had a pint of Guinness in Dublin, and it went really well.
And it really felt like a perfect launch for the story, because like the characters, like there's no reason to have anything but open-heartedness. This nice fella calls me, and we get together, and and there's a scene when he picks me up, and we get in the car, and we're both trying to be clever, and like the other person doesn't quite. The sense of humors don't jive. It's like, and as an audience, hopefully you're feeling like, oh, they're so close to being. No, they're not. No, they missed each other. Both perfectly nice guys, but nope, missed. And then the father makes this lovely story and tells the story, and they go, oh, they're both so moved, and they're great. And then it goes bad because that dies. And then we're off to the races. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't wait to see this movie. It sounds delightful. I've got to check it out.
Look, I know we're at time right now, but I love this movie. I just really did enjoy this. I'll watch something for this purpose, to write about it for an interview, something like that. And I rarely go back to rewatch this. Me and my wife are going to be watching this later tonight because she didn't have a chance to watch it with me the other night. And I just really want to share this and sit down in this world again and not think about how I'm going to pose questions or not think about what this particular shot meant in the bigger thing. I just want to enjoy this fucking thing. This is a great little movie you guys got here. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great to hear, man.
That's so lovely. And I think you should start your piece by going, I'm a miserable guy, just so you know. And even me, I'm a miserable prick, and I loved it.
Well, I thought it was important to set the stage that way.
Well, that's the audience we're going for. Every miserable prick out there.
You know what?
This is your film.
Spend an hour on the internet. There's a lot of miserable pricks out there.
Oh, I know.
We need entertainment too.
Oh, my God. Well, prick lives matter. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That's
awesome.
Really
thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Pleasure to meet you both.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We had some bridges that we wired and blown. That time's over now. So over now. I can't say I'm sad to see it go. That's over now. So over now. So what you doing in a couple of years? On a Saturday. Most people never get what you've always been, always been, always been. And most people never get